welcome to episode 69 of my POA podcast, Black Hand and Beyond. Welcome to another Tuesday. It's pretty cold around the country, so that's why I made the joke a while ago on Facebook about cuddle up with your favorite blanket. If you have a fireplace, pull up your laptop or your computer or whatever, your phone, tablet, and watch this show tonight. Tonight we have a very special guest I'll be bringing on here in a minute or two, Tomlin. He's a longtime POA breeder, promoter, and showman. He's also the current president of the National POAC Board of Directors. So we're honored to have him on here tonight. We'll be talking about some of his history with the Chimney Hill Ranch and some of the current things that are going on in POAs today. So like I alluded to, boy, it's been cold. I kind of have a rule since I turned 50 last year. If it's below zero when I wake up in the morning, wind chill, -0 wind chill, I don't shave. So I haven't shaved for a couple days as it's been kind of cold up here in Oklahoma, and I think it's not quite as cold down in Texas, but it's still unbearably cold as it is all over the country. As you've seen, some football games had to be moved and postponed. People had to shovel their own seats out in Buffalo and stuff, so just some weird weather we're having here in January. So I want to thank everybody for watching the episode last week with our executive director, Bill Harless. Thanks again to him for coming on to the show. It was a very good episode. So far we have almost 500 views on that. We also have had 577 views on the first episode of the year, episode 67, which was the Stallion roster. That's always a well-watched show. So thank you guys for tuning into those. Of course, you can tell people if they join POA History, they can go and watch those archived videos anytime. They're up there pinned to the top. All 68 of them are, and this one will be tonight after the episode. So right now I want to bring in our special guest, Tommy Tomlin. How you doing, Tommy?
Hey, Kent, I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
Good. So we talked a little bit before you came on the air. What is the temperature down there in Texas?
I think the last I heard it was about 23, 24, something like that right now.
Oh, heck, that's a heat wave. That's a heat
I know.
wave. My brother up in Minnesota, he just laughs when I send him, I'll send like 1 degree, and he's like, yeah, actual's 9 below. I'm like, that's why I moved to Oklahoma. So, yeah. I got a running joke with my wife, Monica. Every time it snows, I say we're moving to Brownsville because, I already moved from Minnesota to Oklahoma for the weather. And she's like, we're not moving. Well, the other day I seen it was even cold in Brownsville, they said. So I said, well, maybe I better just stay put, I guess. So can't outrun the weather. So
well, the only thing between Oklahoma and Texas is a barbed wire fence. So
the barbed wire fence, all right, that's right, and a little river there, yeah.
Y'all just send it straight down to us.
Yeah, well, we get down there quite often. We like to go down to Texas, especially like I say, growing up north. I didn't get to go to Texas too much. We bought a couple quarter horse mares there when I was about 12. That was a cool trip. That was the first time I was ever in Texas, and then I didn't get to go again until probably 15 years ago or so. So. Yep, it's a cool state. So is Oklahoma, so.
Oh, yeah.
So I wanted to make a joke right away, Tommy, so just bear with me. But, I've always wondered about your name. You got a cool name, Tommy Tomlin. And I started thinking, I know a lot of horse people and Western people might not be into superhero comics and cartoons and movies. Like I grew up watching them and stuff. But, you have Bruce Banner and Peter Parker, and then the POAs have Tommy Tomlin. So I always wondered about that name. It's kind of like a Stan Lee alter ego name there. So I don't know. I thought I'd just break the ice with that joke. So we have some people watching. Melissa Andring, she's healing up from a foot surgery. I think she's watching tonight. Of course, Tracy Keen's here. And we have some Facebook users that I can't tell who they are. It might be Dean. I know some people I can't see. I enjoy living in Arizona. So that might be Diana or somebody, or Lexi, one of those people in Arizona is watching. So we're getting quite a few people watching, so that's good.
Yeah, good.
So, Tommy, what year did you get involved in POAs?
I think it was around 84, if I'm
84.
exact.
Okay.
Yeah, somewhere like that.
That's quite a while ago. Time, keeps on ticking. So that's 40 years ago, right?
Yeah, just about. Yeah.
Yeah, just about.
Actually, I started. Bill Goree was down near us. We were living in Crowley at that time, and Bill Goree's son drove one of those food trucks. I can't think of the name of it right now. Comes around, sells frozen foods and all that.
Like a Schwann's type truck?
Yeah, Schwann's truck. That's what it was. And he started talking to us about ponies and POAs, and I told him, I said, well, I was raised with quarter horses. Make a long story short, he had a little mare that was bred to a stud that they had called Razmachaz MR, who was bred by Tippy Spotted Chief. Now, that was their rock and roll horse, I guess.
Okay.
Anyway, we bought the little mare, and I thought, well, this is going to be a nice-looking little horse, little quarter horse-looking thing. And she had a baby, and we called him E.T. Speckle Socks. It was black, had 2 white socks, and he had a big, nice white blanket on the rump. And from that point on,
you were hooked.
I was hooked in the spot.
That's how it goes. Well, that's cool. Yeah, that's how it usually goes. That's a fun story. So, yeah. And then I remember when you got KK's Rio Tough, because she was a northern pony, Wisconsin, right, and then Minnesota. Of course, the Rupplinger family, who Sammy Searle's still involved in POAs. Her grandma bought her and her mom had her. So that's a cool story there. And
I saw him in Oklahoma at the international show, and I said, I'd sure like to have it. And I went down and talked to Amy. As a matter of fact, she was fixing to go into a class, and I talked to her a minute and I asked her what she wanted for it, and it was way too much. And so I said, okay, well, that mare was still available in January, and I called them on the phone, made a deal, and they put her on a truck and sent her to me.
Well, yeah, feed gets higher in January, especially in Minnesota. So that mare was probably in a pen all her life anyway, in a barn, so she didn't see much pasture. So
no,
when she was young. So yeah,
right.
That's funny. You sound like my customers, Tommy, when I'm trying to sell cars. Oh, she was way too much. I hear that every day. I walk outside in 5-degree temperature, bundled up in my jacket, my Vikings hat, my gloves, and they're like, how much for this one? I tell them, oh, too much, and they just drive off. I'm like, man, I walked out there for that. So no, but the rest is history. You bought her, and then you ended up breeding her and raising quite a few. She had quite a few spots for you, didn't she?
She did.
Yeah.
She did. Rio Golden Honey was a big name that
right.
we had. I think Lindsay had her last. I don't know. I forget if she's already passed away or not, but I think she has.
I remember seeing her in Tulsa as a yearling at one of the futurities and sales. She was right. in a stall, and she was colored something like her mother, right?
Yes. And then roaned out white almost.
Right. Yeah. Well, she was probably homozygous too, and because her mother, of course, was. Her mother, I know you had CHR's Rio Tough Tiger, Ice T, and Tiger's Tough Eagle. Those 3 were full brothers, weren't they? Or
yes.
Yeah, and they were all few spots. So
well, now Rio Tough Tiger is a bay with a blanket.
Oh, okay, he's not a few spot. Okay, he was a bay with a blanket. Okay, and
right.
he's the one you kept, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And he was homozygous too.
Okay. Well, yeah, because of her, pretty much, and then
Right. And we, being rookies in this stuff, didn't know that.
Right.
When he was little, we didn't know that, and we just kind of played around here, and then we got CHR. He's Tough Enough with Pal Chip and Putt.
Right.
And everything else then we snowballed from there, I guess.
Right. Yeah, you bred the Chip and Putt quite a few times, and then he's Tough Enough. That's one of your senior stallions. Now he's your grand champion stallion, right, at the Congress.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've showed a lot of pictures of him lately. And then I really like, I like few spots, so nothing against leopards. I like leopards too, but if I was keeping a stallion, I'd probably have a few spot. And CHR destined to be tough is Tough Enough son, right?
Yes, he is.
Yeah,
yes.
I like him a lot. A lot of breeders compliment him, because he's just kind of a breeding-looking horse,
He's quite a clown. He's a people horse.
Is he? That's cool.
Oh my gosh, he thinks if I go in to clean his stall, he thinks he has to help.
Okay.
So
well, that's
he's
good.
in your pocket all the time.
Pocket
just
pony.
Nice and easy.
Yeah.
So,
I learned a long time ago that helps to sell them, is the personalities. You need it in this breed, with a lot of youth and family. And so if you can have those personalities. So Lindsay said, yes, they did have her until they put her down. So, and then, and of course, Tracy, her favorite, I think, is the few spot we're talking about because she's into the color and the genetics too. So, he's
right.
I'm looking forward to more of his babies.
Well, we are too. He really is built like you want one to be built. He's got that big old wide chest and he's a little white quarter horse that we call a POA.
Right. Well, that's kind of what we're shooting for, if you like it or not. Right. You know what I mean? We're shooting for that quarter pony look. So the quarter horse, just the smaller version. So and then he's got the color to boot. So then you have Texas Star. He's homozygous too. If people watch the stallion, you've supported my stallion roster every year. So and Texas Star is on there. So he's one of your. He was kind of an outcross a little bit, wasn't he? You bred to a different stallion to get him.
Well, yeah, we bred. Let's see. He's out of Miss Savannah Gold, and Aaron's. T&E, he's Dynamite.
Right, yeah. And he was a son of T&E Real Dynamite, who I really liked. They were both good stallions, both nice horses,
Yes. It's funny because T&E, he's Dynamite. Aaron's son now is roping off of him.
Really?
And just having a ball,
Okay.
Just, going to town.
Well, he's probably built like a little quarter horse, too, the way he's bred, so.
Oh, he's a big quarter horse.
A big quarter horse, yeah. Well, you have Gold Prince and Double L Dickens and Impressive are, three of his grandpas. So, you have some good horses in there. So that's cool.
But Tex is a good guy too. He's little bigger, bodied, but he's a friendly guy too. He wants attention and loves people being around him.
Oh, that's good. That's good. So, well, you and Suzanne, your wife Suzanne, we can't forget to mention her because I know she does a lot of work back at the farm, at Chimney Hill Ranch, and you've been traveling a lot lately, so you're going to be traveling more with your new duties here. You got to go to the convention and stuff. So, yeah. So it's always important to have somebody at home so those personalities on those horses are good, to have.
Well, I'll tell you what. I couldn't get it done around here without her.
Right. Well, that says a lot. Yeah. Well, we forget to mention our other halves sometimes, especially in the horses. You're the showman. You're in the ring and stuff. But like I say, I like that one picture where she's holding. I think he's a yearling, destined to be tough. She's standing there waiting. You're probably got a baby or something, and she's holding him, waiting to go in the ring, or you're waiting to go in the ring.
Yeah, we were. That was at Stock Show. At Fort Worth Stock Show.
Oh, okay, at the Stock Show. Yeah. So it was cold then. Yeah, that's coming up here pretty quick, right? The Stock Show should be just around the corner.
Yeah, we leave. What's today? Wednesday.
Today is Tuesday night.
Tuesday. Well, we will be showing a week from today.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Yep.
I've never been there. I've always wanted to go. As a kid, I wanted to go to the judging contest, and we just never could swing it. And now I'm a lot closer, and one of these days I'll go. It's just January is tough to get away in my business, but
sure.
Yeah, I would love to go to it.
I'm just glad this weather didn't come through next week instead of this week.
Right. Well, we're supposed to be getting warmer temps here tomorrow. It's supposed to be in the 40s, so that'll melt anything we have left. We still do have white on the ground. And then I think Thursday's going to be in the 40s, and then it's going to get cool again. But hopefully we don't get any more snow. So
I hope not.
I hope not. The older you get, it's tougher to deal with. That's why people move to Florida and Arizona. Just ask Tracy. Those states keep filling up for a reason. So Colorado's a beautiful state when you're in your 20s, 30s, and 40s. But once you get in your 50s, 60s, and 70s, you want to go somewhere a little warmer, I think. So.
Well, it's a beautiful state in a picture.
Yeah, in a picture. That's right. I'll have it on the wall. So.
Yeah.
So how many babies you guys got coming this year?
Well, we've got four.
Four.
We've got coming, and we've got Dusty. destined, excuse me, destined to be tough. We call him Dusty.
Okay.
I think we've got Dusty bred to about 10 mares. And so he'll have a good representation next year.
Oh, wow. You got a lot of people that bred to him then, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah, that's
Yes, we
good.
had a really good year with him. And then we've got a couple of TJ babies. We've got I think we've got at least one. I think we have one Tex, one TJ, and two Dusty's babies coming for us next year.
And TJ's your senior stallion. That's he's tough enough stallion, the
Right.
little grand champion. Yeah. So okay, good. Well, you need to get some more mares for Dusty or whatever you call him. What do you call him?
Dusty.
Dusty. Yeah, the few spot. You need to get some more mares for him.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
Of course, I'm not paying the bill, so I can just say that. I'll start sending you some pictures when I get.
Tell you what, I like to see them in somebody else's pasture.
Right.
I think that's fun. I'd rather go to a show and watch what somebody else is showing that is out of him than showing him myself.
Right. Well, I really enjoyed that. My dad was all about that. You know, he liked two things. He liked to look at the babies out in the pasture. He'd just sit on a stump or sit out in the pasture on the grass and watch the babies play. And then he liked going to shows and seeing other people show them. You know, that gave us more joy than us even trying to get them ready and show them, you know. So
right. Yeah. Oh, it does to me.
Yeah. And then they're older, you know, when you're a breeder, it's hard to keep them too long. So you've kept a few like CHR Color Me Cool. You kept her and Aaron showed her up till this last year. You did well with that loud colored mare.
Yeah. Yeah. That was really a nice mare for us.
Yeah.
She's quite a mare.
Yeah. She's a good mover and built right. And she's colored, you know, just really unique and beautiful. So, and then that yearling, you did well with him this year, that colt. What's his name? Riding the Rail?
Riding the Rail.
Yeah. Did you get rid of him now? Did you sell him?
No. Well, yes, I did.
Okay.
As a matter of fact. He's not. I had to stop and think a second. We call him Casey because of Casey Jones was his dad.
Right.
And we call him Casey and the letter KC because of we have PJ and we have Katie, so we just called him KC.
KC, okay.
And he sold to a lady out in California that is kind of going away from what we do, but going into the ranch riding thing.
Okay.
And she said she's watched our horses, she said, for a couple of years or more as what we've done and liked what she saw. And she's going to get him going in ranch riding and the events there. She said, as athletic as he appears to be, she really thinks he could be good, and she wants to kind of go down to a smaller horse than what she shows. She shows quarters now.
Okay.
And she says, I want him for me, and I want him for my grandkids.
Okay. Well, that's cool. Hopefully she comes into POAs too, but I mean, if she don't, people get to see him. So.
That's what I told her. I said, well, you'll come and do ranch riding at the POA shows. I said, and then you'll get into the other things.
Right.
Said, well, okay. So we'll see how we do.
That colt was really surprising this year. You know, I seen him at every show I judged. He was there, and you know, of course, halters first, and then I seen him in lunge line. And the first time I judged him in lunge line, he really surprised me because I liked the way he looked, but I'd never seen him lope. You know, and I'm like, boy, this colt's got a nice lope. But the Casey Jones are pretty good movers. You know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right. So that kind of really, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say we really liked him. He kind of fits our look.
Yeah, he fits your look for sure. Yeah. So Lexi Lou, or you just said Arizona has ranch riding at POA shows. So there you go. So
right.
Yeah. So I was kind of going to interlude a little bit from your program into your role as the president. We'll talk about that a little more, but one of the things, and I'm on the board with you as well, one of the things we've been talking about a lot is the ranch classes and kind of offering more of that. It's so popular right now in the horse industry, in the stock horse industry. Right. So I think it's...
And you know...
Go ahead.
Kent, we have our POAs are not just the shows that we put on. We have POAs right now that are big-time barrel racers. In fact, I had one, I'm not bragging, I just happened to have this, but one last year that was ran barrels out in Las Vegas in that what's the big barrel race they have?
Yeah.
I can't remember. That ran barrels out there. CHRIT is his name.
Okay. Yeah, we talked about him earlier because he's one of Rio's babies, right? So yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And he ran barrels out there, but we've got lots of POAs doing barrels, roping,
for
cutting.
Sure. Well, we have so much horse blood, even back in the day. Like Kiddo Tough was born in '86, and he was a few spot, and so his quarter horse breeding was back further. But he had Showdown in him and Leo, so he had foundation, really good stuff. Well, then people are like, "Wow, his stuff can really do this and that." I said, "Well, it's in there. It's in the background,
Right.
Well, now we have own sons and daughters of stuff, just like your fellow." Texas POA breeder, he's passed away now, but Norman Stevenson, N.R. Stevenson, he went and bred 5 of his best mares to a Supreme Champion quarter horse. A
right.
racehorse, and Fly the Red Eye, right, was his name, and he bred some of his best POA mares to him, and people are going to see, one's already a Congress champion for Pat and Janelle rides her in ranch classes, and there's a couple others out there, one's in barrel training, and the other one's up in Kansas, and you'll probably be hearing...
The Stevens have one up in Kansas.
Yep, they have a really nice stallion, and he's one of those guys, you go look at him, he's a beautiful stallion. They haven't taken him out yet, but he definitely, you can tell he's got papers on him. He's got a great pedigree, and he would be able to do whatever you wanted him to as far as ranch or stuff like that, roping, things that caliber, and running, he's going to be fast. So, and
sure.
Yeah, Danielle has the one up in Minnesota. She's riding barrels on, and she's actually roping calves on him, and there's a picture of him on Facebook. He's got a bigger blanket than the other two. So I think 3 is what made it. I think one mare didn't settle, and one ended up in Texas, one in Minnesota, and one in Kansas. So a gelding, a mare, and a stallion. So you're going to be hearing more about those. Of course, Norm Stevenson was a long-time POA breeder. He was a director in the 60s, when he was in his 30s. And he loved racing POAs and wanted to promote that. And, of course, it just never come back. The breed was more of a youth breed, and with insurance and safety issues and stuff, they had to stop it. So, things evolve now a lot more. But, yeah, just coming full circle to ranch, I think it's good that we're going to put some ranch classes at the Congress. It's going to be on the schedule, and I think it'll just be more and more. And some of these states like Arizona and stuff, it might not be for every region or every state, but Kansas has a whole class of them last year when I was you were at that show at the Sunflower Classic. They did ranch classes, so I think it's just another avenue for these POAs, and like you say, they're already bred to do it. So
yes, and we have a member here in Texas that cuts on them.
Okay.
And has been in the money on 3 or 4 or 5 of his.
Well, that's good. Well, they're built low to the ground, So.
Oh, and it's exciting to watch them.
Right.
But we call it the versatile pony. We call ourselves the best kept secret, or people say that we're the best kept secret. I think we need to start letting that secret out, telling what it'll do.
We need to let that secret out because they do so much, and one POA will do a lot, like you have other breeds. We always pick on the quarter horse. We try to be the quarter horse, but we also pick on them. But they're so huge and big that, they need a bunch of horses to do. They're so specialized, and POA isn't quite like that. It's come a little closer than it was 20 years ago. The pleasure thing really went, Western pleasure just kind of became pleasure. And then, of course, we don't have the big old English horses, so we didn't have those bloodlines because of the height. But we definitely added the pleasure horses, and we started becoming a little more pleasure. But our POA still can go in and compete from morning to afternoon, and that's a cool thing.
Any breed.
Against any breed. That's right. So, and they're just a little horse is all they are with littler legs. And then our attitudes on them are usually a lot better, like we said before. And I think they're prettier. They have the pretty little faces. Most of our POAs do. So cute little heads and stuff. So, well, the board's been busy approving and voting on the show bill. So I think it's about ready to come out for Congress. So I know there's been a couple directors really working hard on that.
Yeah.
Tracy Fila and out in Washington, and then of course Jess Drish in Iowa. They've been heading that up, and then we just click on stuff. They're doing all the work, and we just say, yeah, tell it, pull this out, put this in. I kind of feel guilty sometimes. I haven't been too vocal on it because I let people that are showing, pick it more. But I've listened to some of my people in my region, what they want, and kind of the order they want things. So it's tough to please everybody when you have a 7 or 8 day show, and
exactly, and a
couple hundred classes.
I think all in all, we've done a great job this time getting a show bill that will meet everybody's need. That's the thing.
Right.
I think it's going to meet everybody's need and be a workable show bill.
Right.
I think that's going to be
I know.
And a fun.
I'm a big halter guy because I was a breeder, so halter was on Mondays a lot of times, and then it moved to the weekend. Of course, I like it on the weekend, but that's just selfish, but I do think it helped. Well, now it's on Friday because we just kind of had it because Tracy just mentioned one of the biggest changes, halters on Friday, and Tracy and I tried to keep it on the weekend, but it's the next best thing. It's on Friday, and it's back in the beginning. I personally, I don't like it when halter's in like day 4 or 5. I think it should be one of the first things because it is just kind of a separate thing, And yeah, you do have the older horses that do it all, but you have a lot of young horses, yearlings and stuff. We need to try to build those classes back up. It'd sure be nice to see 15, 20, in those young classes. We had a good slew of babies this year come to the Congress. Well, we ended up with the grand champion mare and stallion were weanlings, so we had really nice babies at the Congress in Tulsa. So, we have the convention coming up too.
Yep, that'll be an exciting event.
Yeah,
and I mean that. I think it'll be a fun thing. Everybody will get to meet Bill Harless, our new executive director.
Right.
And of course, we didn't know Bill until. And it sounds kind of funny, but until he hit the ground running. Yeah. I mean, he has hit the ground running.
Right.
And he really loves POAs. He's really gotten into the feel of it. And I'm tickled to death with what we've got going on. I'll be honest with you.
Right, I am too. And, I interviewed him last week on this very show, and I've had a lot of feedback, all positive, not one negative response. You can tell he loves what he does. And like you say, he loves POAs, but he didn't have a background in POA that much. He knew about them, of course, but that's kind of fresh too. I like that. So, but just all his ideas and stuff, he's just not sitting there, watching soap operas or anything. He's definitely working. You can tell that. So,
and many faceted working. He doesn't do one thing a day. I would have to do one thing a day.
He's diving into all of it. So the whole board. We left Illinois, Gordyville, and I've said this a million times that we go our own way. Then we all have our own lives and stuff. But we were meeting once a week after that meeting at the Futurity, and we said, we voted on it that within 45 days we were going to do something, and we interviewed a couple gentlemen, and the board picked Bill, and it's been, bang. What was that? September was the board meeting, and December 4th, I think, was the day he started. So that's a pretty good, turnaround. So to interview him and have him seated there, and now people get to meet him. You guys are going to go to the Color Breed Congress in Tulsa coming up here, right?
Yes. Well, the Color Breed, not the Congress.
Not the Congress, the Color Breed Judging Seminar. Yeah, the International Judges Seminar. I was there last year. Yeah, it's a cool deal. A lot of horse people. There's people from all areas and all facets of horses too. All the color breeds are represented. So. POA is always well represented there. They have almost as many or more people in their seminar. I attended almost all the seminars while I was there, and the breed seminars anyway that I could get in. Some I couldn't get into, but POA had the most. I was trying to sneak in the back and just sit in the back, but I didn't have my POA sweater on, so I was incognito. But we definitely, Pat did a good job, and Kathy did a good job, McKenzie and Pat, and they did a good slideshow there. And there was probably 80-some people at the POA deal, and I know there wasn't as many at some of the other color breeds. So,
well, I'm excited about going. This will be my first time.
Yeah, well, I've known about it since I was a kid, even when it was in Oklahoma City, and I always I wanted to wait to become a judge. I probably shouldn't have waited till I was 50, but I did. And some of it wasn't my fault, but I did. And anyway, I went, it would have been a year ago now. And there's a lot to learn there. And then there's just a lot of networking, especially for like Pat and you. Pat's the judging chair, if people don't know that, Pat Burton. And then you're representing the board as the president. And then Bill's going to be there representing the entire club as the executive director. So I think we're going to put forth a really good, something we haven't in a long time, a really good group of people representing POAs. And he's going to have a booth there. We didn't have that last year. A lot of breeds didn't. Some had unmanned booths, just pencils and pens there. I grabbed stuff from Pinot and Mini and all kinds of stuff, but they were just sitting there on a counter next to a bowl of mints or something. So it's cool if you if you have a guy that can answer questions, and if Bill can't answer it, he'll have you or Pat answer it, so just having a face there is going to be great.
Well, I'm sure I'll learn a lot being there, just seeing what's done and how it's done and what we need to do for the next one.
Right. Well, you'll get a lot of input because those judges like to tell you. So they'll tell you, because I had people, because they knew I wasn't on the board yet, but they knew I was. People asked me, a couple big time judges asked me, they said, "What's your role in POAs?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm the historian." I didn't know what to say. So, and then I'm like, and I'm trying to be a judge. I got, I was invited from POA. So, but anyway, maybe you'll become a judge.
Well, for a long time, Kent, I coached. And after I coached, I never wanted to be an official.
Right.
So, no, I don't think I'll ever be a judge.
You won't be a judge. Well, that's all right. I don't think it's for everybody. So I'm enjoying it. I can't wait to judge other things. I just got my results back from my POA test, and second time I took it last year, and then I took it again this year. You got to renew every year, so right. Luckily I passed. So of course it's an open book test. So, but there's some tricky ones in there. There's a few I'd like to talk to the people that make them up and say, well, this one's tricky. There always is. So, but yeah, I judged 3 shows last year in 3 different states. Now this year I have 4 shows I'm doing, so it's hard to keep going back, but that's why you got to get other cards if you want to judge. You don't do it for a living. Some people do, but at this point in my life, I can't. If I had Medicare or paid insurance, it'd be cool, but I need a full-time job to have insurance. So.
Well, I think we had you 2 or 3 times.
Well, I just was down. You seen me at every show I judged. Yeah, I was in Oklahoma, Kansas, and then Texas. Yeah, and you were there all 3 times. Yeah, so.
Yeah, I've been meaning to talk to you about that.
Yeah, I don't know how well you did, but anyway, moving on. No, you did all right. So, well, I tell you, that Kansas show, there was some quality POAs up there. It was their only show of the year, but we had 3 judges. Scott from from Oklahoma came, and then Ed Kate came. He's a newer POA judge. His son's the president of the Texas club down there. So Ed doesn't get to judge in Texas too much. So he came up, and they called it the Sunflower Classic. Man, that was a marathon. We started at 8:30 and we got done at 10:30. So yeah.
But there was some quality ponies there.
Oh, there was. We should have been taking videos. Just Halter alone, the mares there. And then the Texas show that I was at was in what town is that? Sand Springs? Is that the right town?
Sulphur Springs.
Sulphur Springs. Yeah, I'm sorry. Sand Springs is a different state. Sulphur Springs, and that was a cool show, but it was a lot smaller. Some families had some obligations and stuff, and it was hot. It wasn't as hot as I thought it was going to be, but that was a cool town, and it was a well-run show, and that was a two-judge show. And there again, there was some of the best mares in the breed was at that show, lined up.
Every week, every time we show in Texas, we have one of the national champion horses there.
Well, yeah. Well, there's a lot of them.
National champions.
There's about 3 grand champions that are bay from there, and there's more than that, I think. But yeah, and then and then you put Oklahoma and Texas together, and it's a tough region. So
I go in there going for 2nd or 3rd every time.
Yeah, you're being modest because you won quite a bit of stuff. So.
tell you what, we have fun.
You
we
have
fun,
fun,
and that's what we need to do. That's what we want this breed to be. It's fun. Everybody get along. Hey, we all show to win, but
right?
we all need to get along. And I mean, that's why we joined it 15 years ago, because it was a fun group. Everybody was having fun. Everybody is helping each other.
Yeah. Well, that's why my dad got me into it. You know, we really fell in love with the ponies, and we had tried some other horses and stuff and some other ponies, kind of like some Pintos, Shetland Pintos and stuff, and they weren't very good. And then we found a POA and just got hooked on it. Then, of course, all our neighbors, you know, said, "Oh, that's a great pony," you know, all like the harness guy and the quarter horse guy, you know, the farrier, everybody, "Oh, that's a really good POA." Well, then when you go to your first POA show, you see how good it is, you know, but still, it's a great start, you know. And then my dad got me into it just for the environment, you know, and my brother had passed away about a year right when we were getting into POAs. He was 18 and I was 10, and I think my dad just wanted to get me in an organization and where I could, you know, and I did. I just went deep in. I drank the Kool-Aid, you know, so I ran with it. So.
Well, that's great. That makes it fun.
Yeah,
that makes it.
And like you were saying, the best kept secret, and people say that, you know, people have fun in POAs, and it's a great way to raise your kids, and most of them end up being just great individuals, and a lot of them become equestrians. A lot of them, high percentage, if they want to be, you know, they can be, and some just, you know, go on to do other professions and stuff. But then just the quality of the pony itself, the POA is such a quality animal, and then the families that are into it are just, you know, just so good. And that's what, you know, I try to be positive about everything. You know, being on the board, sometimes you can't be positive about everything. We got to make decisions, you know, and we have 12 people from 12 different places, you know, so we always got to come up with, but for the most part, we come together and do well, you know, and try to make the best decisions. So.
Right, and do what we think is right for everybody, for the POA.
For everybody. That's one thing, as I've grown up, and this is my second time around as a director now, you know, I'm listening more to the people, way more than, you know, sometimes when I was younger, I'd fall into well, I know what's best, you know, or I've studied this, I studied that. But now as I'm older, you know, I want to listen to what everybody else has to say, you know, and that's why, like, making the Congress schedule and stuff, you know, you got to listen to everybody. And like you said, at the end of the day, you can't always please everyone, but you can come as close as you can. And just like rules and things like that, that's what we try to do to keep everybody happy. So.
And, you know, we represent a whole bunch of people. You and I are from the same region, but we represent a lot of people.
Oh, and right.
What the conglomerate of people may want is not maybe what we individually want, but I can't go against what everybody else does. I have to go with what the group wants, whether I like it or not.
Yeah,
and because they're the ones that chose me to represent them.
Right.
So
that's just how it is. And I think with technology and stuff, and communication is so much easier. You know, now you can just send a text or a Facebook message or whatever, you know, so you can get the opinions of people way better now than you could, you know, 20, 30 years ago. So for sure.
Yeah.
So, yep. The members are the backbone for sure. You know, they're the backbones of any club, and the POA has a good backbone. You know, and the one thing we have is, I call it heritage. We got the Heritage Committee going again, Heritage Foundation. But, you know, a large percentage of our members grew up in POAs, or their parents grew up in POAs.
Yeah.
And now they're second or third generation, fourth generation in some cases with the kids.
Right.
So, you know, it's huge that we have the foundation we do. You know, that's what really keeps us going. And then we need to pull in other people, like the person in California that has your CHR Ride the Rail, you know, he Casey or whatever. He, you know, that we got to pull in those types of people too. And hopefully she'll go to Arizona or go somewhere. Who knows? She may start a chapter again in California, you know, if she loves POA. Yep. So that's how it grows. Little seeds like that. Just that's how you grow it. So.
Right. Exactly. And what they like, again, what they want to do is the ranch right now, where I might say, "Oh, come on, do halter." Well, we've got ranch halter. We've got this, that, and the other. But, you know, if we can get them started on ranch riding, let it go. Then
Right.
let them get into the other things.
Right.
I mean, I'm repeating myself, and I don't mean
No,
to do that.
you're all right. You know, some people don't remember. So.
I kind of get excited when I'm talking about it.
Well, that's good. It's good to be excited about POA. So I'm excited again. You know, I don't have, you know, I miss having horses every day, except this last week. I didn't miss it as much when it was cold.
Oh, I know.
So going out and doing chores, you know, you're tired. But I still do miss it. Don't worry. If a little hobby farm fell in my lap, you know, I could get some POAs there pretty quick. So, but you know, it's just not meant to be right now. So that's why I'm doing it. Yeah, I know I could get some babies. I'd be down there breeding a quarter horse mare to Dusty. So, yeah. So, well, is there anything else you want to talk about, Tommy? I'm not running you off. We've only been on there about 41 minutes, so that's all right. We can talk some more. We have a lot of people talking. Melissa up in Minnesota put a big post on there. You can read that later. It was really good. I couldn't read it all in time. It's already scrolled away, and then there she is again. She wrote some more. That's good. I really like Melissa Andring up in Minnesota.
Yeah,
She's raised her daughters in POAs. Yeah, and then of course Tracy's saying some stuff. So I think she's bragging about you. Tommy Tomlin is one of my favorite people and the most genuine. Well, that's good. That hurt my feelings. I thought I was one of her favorite people. No, I'm kidding. That's what I said earlier about the superhero name, Tommy. I think that's your superpower. I've never met anybody that said something bad about Tommy Tomlin. Maybe they just said, "Oh yeah, he's a good guy," but I haven't talked to any of your ex-coworkers, I guess. But
well, I'm an old high school principal. Let me introduce you to some people.
Yeah, I bet there's some delinquents and some people and some teachers and some kids that might have some choice words about you. But hey, you were doing your job, right? So
that's right.
So how long were you a principal, right? High school principal?
I was, yeah. I was in the school business almost 30 years.
Okay.
So it was, or was it 30 years?
Right.
Started out coaching and moved around a little bit. It's kind of a gypsy life being a coach.
Yeah.
And ended up becoming an assistant principal in elementary, and then I said, well, I want to be a superintendent, so I wanted to get into high school, so I became a high school principal. And by that time, I didn't want to be a superintendent because one school is enough, and when you're a superintendent, you've got 3 or 4 schools.
Right. See, I thought you were a superintendent one time. Now I've known for years now you weren't, but that one time I told you I thought you were a superintendent because I said there was quite a few superintendents and principals in POAs. Like Gene Carr was a superintendent. And, of course, Lynn Puffenbarger was an assistant principal. He was a mathematics teacher, but then he was an assistant principal when he taught. He went into ranching. You know, he taught about 10 years and then quit and went full-time into ranching. But we've had a lot of school teachers and administrators in the breed, so in the club.
Yes.
Yeah, that's cool. So.
But anyway, it's I tell you what, I appreciate the opportunity that you allow the people of POA to get out and talk about their horses and talk about POA. And Kent, I really do like your blog and this opportunity you give people.
Hopefully it helps POAs. You know, that's the only reason I do it. So, you know, I'm doing it to try to help POAs. So if we could, I know we have revitalized some older members, you know, so I know some people have, maybe not all because of this podcast, but it's helped them, you know, kind of kickstart buying some more and, you know, attending more stuff. And if we could get some new members from this, I need to get it on YouTube and some more. I'm kind of in a small space right now, but there's charts on here and stuff. We have a lot of older members that are on here. When I say older, you know, like 70s, 80s, you know, so safety features, I have to be very careful, you know, because I don't want people to prey on this group, you know. And so I have the safety features set very high, so it's hard to share a lot of things. I used to, when I first started, I could share to anywhere. Well, I was starting to get requests from like the Philippines and, you know, different things. I'm like, they don't even know what a POA is, you know what I mean? So we have members from, of course, a lot of members from our friends in Australia, and we have some Sweden and, of course, England and France and Germany. We have members from there, and they're all legitimate. But, yeah, my wife and I, we go through and look, you know, before we accept a a friend request to join the POA history group. So, and that's to help the members. So,
well, that's you do a great service with
well,
this.
thanks.
And it's a lot of fun watching everybody and hearing the history. That's the fun part.
Well, you and I have been friends for a while, so I'm glad we get to work on the board together. I never thought we would be on the board, both from this region. So I knew you would be. But so going back to just showing and stuff, well, you got some secrets lined up for what you're going to show at the Congress? You got some young prospects?
I don't know yet. Yeah, I've got. I've kind of cut down because I've got Aaron's showing a couple of my babies.
Okay.
Lauren Kaufman has one that's really a pretty nice little gelding, and he's going to be a small gelding, but he's going to be super. And I've got a colt, and I think Aaron may. I don't know. I wish I could keep it straight, but I think Aaron's got 3 that she's going to be showing.
Okay. Well, I know you had a baby filly that you showed, and then you had a yearling filly, didn't you? Yeah, I can't keep them straight either.
Yes,
yeah.
And Aaron's got both of those.
Okay.
And she's getting a colt, so she's going to have a.
She's going to have a trailer load, yeah.
Oh, a whole bunch, and she's got one that's a really nice gelding of Johnny Brown.
Okay.
And that's out of Dusty.
Oh, okay.
No, he's out of TJ.
TJ, okay.
I believe that's right. I don't remember. He's out of one of those 2, but I think I think he's out of TJ.
Well, I tried not to put you on the spot too much tonight, but I wanted to ask you that. So don't let any secrets out if you got some secret surprises down there. But I try not to put you on the spot about pedigrees or anything like that. So I know I'm different. You know, I can remember them, but it's hard sometimes. So.
No, yeah, I tell you what, I never will forget the first time I saw you again in Des Moines. Ken. I laugh about this every time we talk almost. And you said something about, we sure are glad you're here. Said, we thought you had died. And it was several years after my dad had passed away.
All right.
But we saw Tommy Tomlin and we thought, oh my gosh. And I went, Kent, I didn't even know you knew me.
Yeah, we made some phone calls. I'm like, Tommy Tomlin passed away. And somebody said, oh, that was his father. I'm like, oh, okay. And then, years later, of course, I don't have a filter, so I just bring up everything. I told you, I thought you died. So sorry about that. But
no, well, I didn't think anything about it. Golly, how does that guy know me?
Right. So, well, you've done a lot of stuff, and lately you've really done a lot of stuff. So I think I'm starting to finish your sentences. I used to do that with Doc Nemmers. We'd go out to eat, and he'd be talking to somebody or standing around in the barns at a show, and he would start relying on me because he'd say, "Yeah, that mare's by," and then he'd look at me. He'd even take a drink sometimes and let me finish, and then I'd say who it was, and then he'd nod at me, and then he'd go on, and then he'd say another thing, and I'd say the stallion's name, and he would just kind of wink at me, and that was the stick, So we kind of are starting to do that a little bit. So.
Well, I'll tell you what, you made my night when you put me in the same sentence with Doc Nemmers.
All right.
You have made my night.
Well, that man's helped you used his breeding program to help yours a lot, and that's a smart man. Oh. You're a smart man for doing that. A lot of your bloodlines go back to Doc. Some of the names are a little different, like Tasha Jill and stuff, but a lot of your stallions on the bottom side have the good Doc's pedigree, and that's good. We've talked about that before, so.
Yep, you bet.
Right. Well, you have a good time with the POA group there in Tulsa, and then we'll see you a couple weeks later in February here in Indianapolis. Hopefully we get a nice weekend for that. So we did have some questions about if the meetings were going to be videoed, and like Tracy said, well, there's only going to be the board meeting and the membership meeting, and then we're going to have the stallion auction, the select sire.
Yeah.
There won't be traditional meetings like usual. Their chairs are sending in like year-end reports to Bill, to the executive director now. So it's a little different this year. Next year, maybe it'll go back to the way things were before, but for this year, it's just set up a little different. So, but we are going to have a board meeting, and it might even be a 2-day board meeting. I hope not, but if it is, it is. So if we have that much to discuss. So.
It will be what it'll be. So
it'll be what it'll be.
We'll do the business.
Right.
So
well, thanks for
done.
coming on here. And is there anything else that I've forgotten to mention, or anything? If you want to plug anything, go ahead. This is your opportunity.
No, Kent. I could plug a lot. I could tell a whole lot of more stories.
Oh, I know. We could be here all night if we. Yeah.
I look forward to seeing everybody at the shows, and please come by and say hello. If I don't look you up, look me up. So.
Right. Yeah, I sat next to you at the futurity, and a lot of people were coming by saying hi and wishing you well and stuff, so that was cool. Right. So I was hanging out with that group by the stalls there. So
yeah.
You should see Stella, my wife's dog. She's a big old wiener dog now. I don't think she's a cowboy corgi anymore, so the thing's long. She's a big dog. She's a naughty girl sometimes, but she's a good dog. We love her. I'm glad my wife got her. I was so against getting her that I walked back to say goodbye to Jackie Guthrie. This is a funny, quick story, and she was stalled where the people we got the puppy from was. And the gentleman who we bought her from, I didn't know him very well. I knew his wife before they were married. She grew up in POAs. And I walked back holding the puppy, and he goes, "Are you returning her?" His face was just ashen, And I could have messed with the guy really bad, but I didn't know him enough to. I should have said, "Oh, yeah, where's my check?" But I said, "Oh, no." I quick said, "Oh, no, we're not returning her," But, yeah, everybody loves that puppy. So you're going to see her at the events. So she'll be at Congress.
Good.
And yeah,
good.
So keeping
Look
my
forward
wife
to that. But
yeah.
She was a cutie.
Yeah, she still has that blue eye, so I think that's her troublemaker, that blue eye. So. All right, Tommy. Well, I look forward to seeing you down the road here pretty quick, and thanks a lot for coming on here. So and supporting the POA podcast, and I want to thank everybody for watching tonight and supporting the POA. So, all right.
I would like to thank everybody for the nice things they've said. I appreciate that very much.
You got a good fan club. That must mean you're doing a fair job. So.
I thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Okay, Tommy. Well, you say hi to Suzanne.
You. I sure will.
All right.
See ya.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye.
So that was Tommy Tomlin, the POAC president of the national board. I want to thank Tommy again for coming on live. We talked about his history a little bit, of course, and his background in POAs. He's been in POA a long time, and it's like a lot of people, spotted fever. They bought a pony and turned out to be a POA, and the rest was history. Of course, KK's Rio Tough really set him off on the right direction, and the CHRs are some of the most well-known POAs going right now. So, and then Tommy's donating his time being on the board. He's been on the board quite a while now, and now he's the current president. So I look forward to working with him the next few years. And again, I want to thank everybody for watching this. This is about as political as we get the last 2 weeks, but that's important too. We don't get negative. We keep it all on the up and up. And last week we had the executive director and got to introduce him to a lot of people. That was a great show. And now tonight was another good show with my friend Tommy. So if you want to be on the show, any topics, whatever you want to talk about, past or now or the future, that's why the show is called My POA Podcast, Black Hand and Beyond, because it's about from 1954 till now till the future. So any topic you want to talk about is fair game. If you want to plug your breeding program or a show program or anything, just come on. You're volunteering your time to be on here for an hour or so, and that's great. So just contact me. You can always text me or find me on Facebook and message me. So about 54 minutes tonight, almost an hour, so that was a good show. Again, thanks everybody for commenting and watching the show. We'll probably be live again next week. I don't have a guest yet, but we'll get somebody on here. I'm going to try to do 5 shows in January to get off a kickstart. The first year we did 30 shows. That was in 21, 22. I went down to 20. Last year, I only did 16, so I don't want to do 16 or less. I already have 3 in the can in January, so we're off to a great start. So, well, if we can get somebody to do trivia, I was thinking that today, Tracy. Here, we'll do the overlay. There's the overlay over my face. Tracy just commented, time for trivia again. We haven't had a Who Wants to Be a POA'er in a while. We can even do a different trivia if you want. I was thinking about getting some questions ready for convention, maybe even some horse movie questions and some Western questions and not just POA questions. So if anybody's interested in that, look me up. I might print some out. So, all right, everybody. I'll do trivia. Well, there we go. We have Lexi. Lexi from Arizona. You're going to do trivia. We'll get something going. I'll contact you. We have a contestant. So here, we got the music already. Let's turn this down a little bit. But see, this is our 70s trivia. Royalty free is the important part, music. So, all right. So I'd be remiss if I don't plug the Jackson's family and Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Jackson's Auto Family, and this is their slogan.
Come join the family.
When you buy a car here, you become part of the family. So I want to thank Tommy again for being a guest, Lexi for volunteering for trivia, Tracy for mentioning it, all my friends and people I don't know that watch this show and support the POA podcast. It's been a great adventure, and we're going to keep doing it. So I hope you enjoy the song. Everybody stay warm. Be safe during this cold weather. Good luck to everybody showing in Fort Worth next week. See you later.
My BFF is a POA. We go together like PB and J. It takes talent, it takes brains, reaching up together and we celebrate. Don't get down, we just saddle up, set out to win a rhythm of the war right up. Our living partners and potentiality. My pony and me.